want to take you to Fenway Park, where Adam Jones is addressing the racial taunts that happened last night. That was during the game between Jones's Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. Let's listen in.
The fans, they don't need to welcome us. It's all part of the competitive edge for the fan base too. To tell the opponents, you suck, haha, you struck out, and various things on your performance, which is completely understandable and in the lines of just how sports work and how fan bases work. And so I just heard that all night, and then just caught something that caught my attention. I heard the N-word, and I get certain reactions when someone says something clever or says something really, really stupid and ignorant. And last night it was not clever; it was really stupid and ignorant. So it caught my attention. And by the time you look back, you can't tell who says what or who's doing what. So I just was like, okay, this is really. It's really how it's going to go down here. So, okay.
Adam,
do
you think it was more than one person?
I don't know. It's hard to say exactly who is what, whose voices are where. I mean, I'm focused on a game. Dylan Bunny was pitching a hell of a game, so I was focused on that.
If the person or persons are watching right now, what would you say to them?
Square up. Let's fight and get it over with.
Is this a Boston thing or a stupid person thing in your mind?
I'm not going to go and say that, all Boston fans are like this. That would be very stupid for me to even mention something like that. I mean, my career playing against the Red Sox has been amazing. They support their fans. I mean, they support their players. I know the 4 franchises in this area have been very good, especially in my life. And so they expect winning in the New England area, which is understandable, and they're very competitive as a fan base, which is completely understandable also. But and just things like this, they just don't have a place in the game. I mean, I thought we moved past that a long time ago, but obviously with what's going on in the real world, things like this, people are outraged and speaking up at an alarming rate, and it's unfortunate that I had to be involved with it.
Adam, what happened with the bag of peanuts?
Coming off the field, I generally try and throw a ball, to not necessarily the people that are sitting right by the dugout, but people sitting a little bit further. And I threw a ball, and I just put my glove down, and I see a bag of peanuts fly right in front of me. Hit the cop, so he was really frustrated. So he turned around, and immediately we tried to catch or see whoever did it, and we were able to see who the guy was. He was escorted at the stadium. I don't know the extent of anything past that, but the thing with throwing things onto the field is really unfortunate because our backs are turned. We don't know what you have. We don't know what you're throwing. We don't know the intent. Now if you caught my attention and you said, hey, I got something for you, and you tossed me the bag, that's completely different. But for you just to throw something in my direction, it's first off, it's dangerous. What if it hits me in my eye? What if it does something to make me hurt myself? And this is my means of finances, is playing baseball. So what if things like that happen? Do I just go to him and say, can you you're going to pay for my insurance, you're going to fulfill the rest of my contract, or is it a bigger issue? Do I talk to the Red Sox? I'm saying if hypothetically if things like that happen, but you just don't do that. I get where, berate us, cuss us out, tell us we suck, tell us, if we ground it out, haha, whatever. Performance-based, leave it to performance-based comments, talking about family members, talking about wives, kids, racially motivated things. That's just not part of what's going on in this game. But
the peanut thrower did not use a racial epithet.
Not from my knowledge. No,
that was separate.
But throwing something that speaks a little bit higher.
Adam, you've seen the reaction from the Sox and from MLB, and you talked about fines yesterday. What happens now? What would you like to see done now?
I mean, fines, that's not my realm. Obviously, I'm worried about playing the game. That's something that I think it'll be individually assessed, certain ballparks, certain rules and regulations. I know that I met with Mr. Henry today, and he said that, they're in the process of, if things like this happen, they're going to revoke the person's, whoever tickets they are, because I know that tickets here are very sacred and generally passed down through generations, so it's hard to get. So stripping people of their right to come to the ballpark, and that would suck because this is one of the greatest venues to watch a sporting event, and people would miss out on it because of some just pure stupidity.
Adam, how often have you been called the N-word here and elsewhere?
It's a good question. I don't know how many fingers I have, or toes to keep count, but you hear it, and it's just unfortunate that someone would resort to try and bring you down like that and dumb you down by calling you such a name that's just nasty. And my biggest thing is I just let people be who they are. Reality of it is most won't call you to your face. It's easy to say it through social media or when you're in the stands. It's just like I said, it's just unfortunate. And I forgot to answer your question, to go on your question. I think it was tremendous how the Red Sox, how MLB, how they got ahead of it as soon as possible. As soon as they heard about it, I'm sure our PR, Kristen, I'm sure her phone's been blowing up. I know Mr. Angelos is well notified of it. My phone's been blowing up all morning, and I'm sure you guys have all gotten the same things from friends, family, loved ones, and
Adam,
it's just unfortunate.
Adam, did any Red Sox players reach out to you?
I seen Mookie Betts. He tweeted at me. Price texted me this morning, and it's pretty awesome that they see it. It's bigger than the game. These kind of things are bigger than the game. We're out here. This is a game. This isn't life or death. There's bigger issues in the world than a baseball game. This is purely entertainment. And
David Price said last year he went through the same thing. He talked to
that's unfortunate. I've seen that. He was struggling in the playoffs. Playoffs is hard to do well in, and they just berated him and called him all kind of nasty things. It just makes no sense, and it just shows, part of it's individuals' upbringing. Part of it's, you never know what's going on in their personal life. They could be personally frustrated that day. I don't know. I got my own issues. So, like I said, it's just completely unfortunate that these kind of things still happen in
Adam, how
baseball.
much do you appreciate Mr. Henry talking to you?
I appreciate that greatly. Like I said, for Mr. Henry to take his time out to come and talk to me and Buck, to get ahead of it, to implement more security, to just try and find a resolve to it. And the hardest thing is to find a resolve because it's a sporting event. It's 40,000 people here. It's hard to nitpick and to pick out a few people who decide to be ignorant. So I just like and appreciate what he come in and talk to me face to face instead of calling me or via text. He came face to face and expressed his disgust, and he apologized on behalf of the whole city.
Adam, it is particularly frustrating in the sense that you're a star player on a contending team. You're a quality human being. You're a pillar in the community.
Thank you.
Well, I know you. And then just to have some ignorant people do whatever they do, it has to be particularly frustrating because of who you are as a person.
Right. It just sucks. I heard a Bill Russell story today, and Bill Russell won 11 championships here, and the things that I heard that happened to him, based solely on his skin color. It's it's unfortunate, man. Like I said, you think that you get away from that, especially being in sports. You come across all walks of life. You get to change not just my life, but I get to change other people's lives and outlooks on life. But for something like this, it just shows that people still live in their own world. They still have their own views, obviously, and some people like to express hatred towards another person and another group. So.
Would you say you hear more of it in Boston than other cities, Adam?
I'm not going to say nitpick and just say here's bad, but there's a long history of these kind of incidents in Boston, and I've spoke with various players of different eras, and a lot of the things that they've told me I can't say.
Well, Bill Russell was 50 years ago, but you're saying things haven't changed that much in Boston?
Ask. I think an important thing for everybody to do is go ask the African Americans of the last 50 years that played baseball in this city and ask them how they were treated.
What did David Ortiz say? He's a buddy of yours, right?
Yeah, I haven't spoke with him yet. So he's busy. He's over there doing sketcher commercials and all that kind of stuff.
Adam, what would you like the reaction to be?
I don't care. Boo me. I mean, treat me as it's Orioles Red Sox. I don't want any special treatment. I don't need any special treatment. Treat me as normal. Just keep the racist stuff out of there. Boo me. Tell me I suck. Please. That's what I personally want because that's how the game is supposed to be. That's how the competitiveness is supposed to be. I don't want no love and support. I don't need all that stuff. I just want the fans to be normal and enjoy themselves. Be cheering on your team, but be respectful of where you're at. You got little kids around you. That's the biggest thing is when you hear these kind of things. There's kids around. I got two little boys. don't want my kids here. And I got nieces and nephews that are 10 and 11. How do I explain things like this to them? So these are just, I think just watch your surroundings, and as Red Sox fans, enjoy the game, cheer on your team, boo the Orioles, please, and enjoy yourself, have a couple pops.
Did the conversation continue, Adam, or does this, in your eyes, put it to rest?
Well, nothing's at rest when it comes to race. Let's be honest with ourselves. It's been going on for a long, long time, way before I've been in baseball, way before I was alive. So it's all about having a conversation. Once you have the dialogue, that means you can work towards a resolve. And I think with the dialogue, we can work towards something. And like I said, this ain't the only place that it's like that. You've seen last year in the wild card game, Kim got a whole can of beer thrown at him. Now, just imagine if that hit him in the head. Whole can of beer being thrown from 60 feet away, 20 feet in the air. I'm not a physics major, but I know the velocity was coming hot. And just imagine if that hit him in his head. He can't play baseball the rest of his life, or he gets a brain hemorrhage, or what do you do then? Just kick the guy out? Oh, I think people need to be held to a higher accountability factor, and you can't come to a major league game, a football game, a basketball game, any game, and try and hurt the player. You spent your hard-earned money to go watch the entertainment. Now, like I said, boo them, boo the player. That's well in your right. That's part of it. We don't mind that, but never try and make it more than what it is.
What inning did you hear the N-word? Was it more than one inning?
What? I wish you guys just wear my shoes for 24 hours. They're comfortable.
Adam,
So you don't recall what inning, or?
Exact innings, exact times. No, I mean, like I said, my focus is on the game, and when I hear things, I just like, okay. Obviously, I just mentally, while I'm going on in their game, I might be frustrated, but I got bigger things to worry about. I got a baseball game to win and a pitcher to defend. So to pinpoint exactly the time it happened, I'm not proud of it.
At one point, you made a great play and you were pointing back at the stands. Was that directed?
That wasn't at the stands. I think that needs to be definitely clarified. I was pointing at Wayne Kirby, our first base coach, who said that he would have had that ball in his back pocket.
Adam, what do you expect?
He thinks that he can go out there and just do it.
What do you expect to happen tonight? You referred to Mookie Betts, the tweet. He's encouraging fans to stand up and support you. What do you expect?
I expect to be booed. I expect the fans to tell me I sucked as normal. But just keep the ignorant comments, keep that to yourself.
Adam, do you think it's a responsibility of other fans who hear this, see it, to point out the people that are doing that?
I kind of do, but I understand when people, if people don't want to get involved with situations. It's like what guilty with association in terms of sense. If I was at a game and I heard somebody just cussing out a player, I would 100% get up and say, hey, man, what are you doing? There's kids here. This guy's a role model. He's out there doing something. He's working. Where do you work at? Let me go to your job and disrupt you the entire time. But no, that's what it is.
You mentioned walking through your shoes, and obviously this has happened before, as you said. Why did you feel important? Why was it important for you to come out with that?
I think there's always timing. I try to make sure that I just don't flood everybody with everything that goes on, because every single day there's always something going on. But it was just the right time. It was something that was on my mind. It was frustrating for me. I'm a grown man with family to raise, so I'm not just going to let nobody just sit there and berate me. I'm a grown man, and say where I come from. You say things like that, you put on the gloves and you go after it. So obviously in the real world you can't do that, especially in my field. So I just hopefully it all just, the awareness comes. People around in the stands will hold other fans accountable. And like I said again, the Red Sox and other stadiums, I'm sure, are going to beef up security and try and get the ushers to facilitate a little bit better when they see some patrons that are a little bit too drunk.
Adam, there were a number of fans in the stands last night that called into radio stations and said they saw your exchanges with people and that they didn't hear any racial epithets. I would guess we have to take them at their word, and they seem sincere. Are they wrong?
No, I've said I've gotten so much support from the Red Sox fans through social media. This is not how we act, and that's completely understandable. Like I said, to throw the entire fan base of the Red Sox under the bus is completely, it's just dumb on my behalf. But there were a few people that decided they wanted to have their 15 seconds of fame. They wanted to get my attention, stick their chest out, and be bold. Well, like I said, where I'm from, there's a different way to handle that.
So they absolutely said racial.
I heard what I heard, and my ears are my ears. Like I said, walk in my shoes, you'll understand it. And for people to defend other people and acts like this, it just shows that there's a bigger problem. So,
All right.
Thank you,
man. Thank you.
And that was Baltimore Orioles center fielder Adam Jones. He was addressing the racial taunts that were hurled at him during the Orioles versus Red Sox game on Monday night. We'll be right back. You're watching CBSN.